Good afternoon, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies for today's Monday's musings. I'm acutely aware that there's an awful lot of potential insights occurring. There's a lot of messages trying to come through in a variety of ways for a variety of people. And the emphasis there feels like the word variety. To recognise that we're all in different places, that we are all open to receive whatever it is we are capable of hearing, feeling, seeing this week is going to be pivotal. It feels like a huge moment of transformational change, but then when isn't life part of that? And for some people that's going to be really, really big. There's going to be some massive shifts, some massive transitions. There's another word, there's something else trying to come through within these transitions. And what feels like key is that we don't try and figure out other people's stuff, that we bring it back to where we are, which is going to be interesting doing a reading for the energies of the week, right? Because we all interpret these languages differently, and that is a gift, and that needs to be recognised this week, that how we translate what is occurring is going to be based on where we're at. And if we can really acknowledge that, if we can really pay homage to that and take responsibility with that, we're going to see a far bigger insight into not only our own gifts and what we offer and the potentials that we offer in this world and everything that we create and how we voice that, how we express that creativity, but also we're going to really feel into the wisdom that is available by recognizing where we are, but acknowledging that it is in our differences to be celebrated that we can retrieve that almost hidden treasure. Okay, so this morning I woke up in a very, I want to say shady because it felt shady, but that's my interpretation of it, a very interesting place with a lot of dreams, a lot of astral travel, a lot of otherworldly visions, and they haven't been written yet, and I've been made aware of them to make a choice. And this week, there are going to be things that come to light to help us not defend but decide, recognizing the difference in that when we defend something, we're actually deciding whether we like it or not. When we're portraying a certain energy or choosing what vibration to stand in, we are defending quite often that we are fighting, because we are feeding it, we are giving it energy, we are giving it attention. So I know that may not be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm fully aware that may cause a reaction or reaction within people. And not only from the words that I say, but the energies this week, that's almost a promise, a given, that what someone says is going to cause a reaction within us. How someone behaves, what someone suggests is going to cause a reaction within us if it's not in alignment, because it's part of recognizing that it's not in alignment with us. So yes, I can say what we feed, where we give our energy to, can exacerbate that, and that can cause a trigger, a glimmer within somebody else to say, well, actually, no, this is what I need to do. Great, that's what you need to do. What I need to do is this. And this week being very not defensive, determined in that, because there's a lot of distractible energy this week that could take us off on a tangent. I can even feel it just talking about it, that could take us off on a tangent. And it's being very aware that it's part of the process, it's part of the path, but it's also part of realizing where we are on our own journey and continually bringing it back to our own internal navigation. So if something sparks something within us this week, why? What are we asking ourselves to look at as a result, or not, as the case may be? So that's the other side. It may very well be that transition, that time of change is now an opportunity to walk away from things that have continued to do this but not really gained any leverage, insight, healing, transformation, whatever, to really look at well-trodden paths and how slippery they can be because they've been trodden over and over and over, and how difficult they can be to get out of. I'm seeing an image of a tractor being stuck in the mud. This week, very, very much so, on my own walk with my dog. And again, if this relates, you take it, and if it doesn't, you don't. This is my journey, my interpretation of where I'm at and what I see around me. That is so important this week, to allow people the recognition that is their translation of what is occurring for them, to hold space, to have silence for that, and to really from there feel into whether that's applicable to where you're at, whether there's anything to actually add, or whether there's a fine line between jumping on the bandwagon and bringing in something new to help that metaphorical tractor get unstuck, to help us collectively move on. So this morning, for me in particular, I share these because they were messages for me in particular this morning. There was a lot of overtrodden paths, and as a result they become quite muddy on my walk, and they were slippery slopes. There was no getting out of them, though. I wouldn't be able to get anywhere further if I continued to walk these. I could see a lot of cow shit piles with tracks in where the manure, the fertiliser had been left on the path, but nothing had actually been done with it. It had just gone over and over and over it. And I can take that on board, uncomfortable as it is. I can see myself where I've been walking over the same paths, which is part of our journey. We do this spiral thing, but actually where I haven't learned or grown from them. And this week, if we're going to see into what's occurring, if we're going to make the most of, for many, a gift of being able to channel, to create, to express, to feel, if we're going to allow ourselves to feel these things, acknowledging them ourselves is going to be key. Yes, there's going to be times when it is less clear. I've deliberately picked a tarot deck this week that are high, intense, crazy energy, and a lot of the insights can be less clear or less what we are used to, because they're inviting me as the reader, just like this week is with ourselves, inviting us as the translator to feel our way, to really connect to that emotional wisdom this week is going to be key. I do feel there's things going on in the skies around us, and I do feel there's things going on in society, and the truth of the matter is I'm not sure what they are, and I'm happy with that. However, if you feel like you want to investigate why you're feeling what you're feeling, that's great. Keeping it even balanced, yes, we look outside of ourselves for that confirmation. We look outside of ourselves to feel like we're not alone. A lot of the times, if we continually look outside of ourselves, whether it's tarot, healing, whatever, if we continually see it as something as outside of us, we end up feeling alone because we're disconnecting. And that can be one of the temptations this week with emotions, is to disconnect where we're at, to disconnect to the information trying to come through as a result. Some of the insights from my dream last night I could see as a prediction type energy, but I could also see it based on where I'm at. And a lot of the messages this week, a lot of the insights this week are going to be multifaceted, because we're multifaceted. This world is multifaceted, and what we're being guided to create with and for is multifaceted. And I feel in my back almost like a twisting, almost like a having to look behind us. There's almost like a fear there behind what it is we are seeing, what it is we are creating as a result. And one of my messages this morning was that I couldn't prepare for everything. You can't prepare for everything. The only preparation really for any scenario is ourselves. Are we ready? Whatever that may be we are about to face, are we ready to face that change? Are we ready to walk our path? Do we have everything in place that we need? And that may be that you need a massage. I know my back is twinging because I need to see the chiropractor. I need to be physically aligned. That may be that you need to take time out and to listen to what is occurring for you. That may be that you need to do a bit of research into what is going on. Really seeing everything as holistic, ourselves included, this week is going to be key if we are to prepare for anything. There's a lot of prophecies coming to light at the moment, particularly Pachacuti, heaven on earth. Pacha meaning another 500 years. It's the way that the Mayan calendar would measure time, and it is the world being turned upside down. Okay, the world being turned upside down so that we can see what is in the underworld without this split of good and bad, light and dark, but really seeing past this almost artificial light of everything having to be a certain way, a certain vibration, a certain goodness, a certain beauty, really getting into that manure that is left, that shit that has been left, and breaking it down, mulching it down, seeing what can actually grow from that. This week is going to be the start of it, and I'm aware that we're heading into Imbolc, of course, this week. Thursday, Friday time. Yes, it's not occurring outside of us, it's occurring beneath us, being acutely aware of what is occurring beneath us and around us as a result. So what connections we have on the path that we walk, how grounded we are in our body, how embodied we are, in order to bring in any new changes that we're trying to bring forth for in bulk. I think it's also the new year, the Chinese New Year of the dragon. Now for me personally, the dragon is the ley lines of the earth. It is that deep bloodline of Pachamama that runs through us all, that red thread that runs through us all, that more womb-like wisdom. It reminds me of a study day I did this week with the womb rites, with a male and a female as well, and combining that sacred union, but on a deeper level, a union that's occurring between us and the earth, and the messages that long to be spoken through how we feel, what we want to create as a result, what we are seeing around us, and the actions that are being asked of us, if any. But we cannot do any of that if we aren't connected to our body, which is the physical representation of the earth, and Pachamama herself, in order to listen, turning spirituality on its head, Pachacuti, heaven on earth, instead of going outside of ourselves to reach enlightenment, coming within and really connecting deep down into those nitty-gritty, perhaps darker areas we may not have wanted to face, to break them down for the fertiliser they are. So for me, as I say, it's these familiar trodden paths that are becoming slippery slopes now, that I'm really having to grip and hold on to. I also saw a lot of trees that had hung on to their leaves, and yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that unknowingly, and it's actually been subconsciously for me, there's many things I've been holding on to until I'm ready, until I feel safe enough, mature enough to explore these areas. So that's key, recognizing everything is Pacha, everything is in divine timing, okay, and that cycle is now, like in bulk around us, coming to an end. The winter of the unknown is coming to an end, and we are starting to go into spring. There are things that have been made apparent and will be made apparent this week in order to really look at the seeds that we're going to plant in time for the summer. So really feeling into that. I think 12 minutes in, that's enough. Let's have a look at the cards, because I don't want to keep walking over slippery slopes and retreading the same path. So let's have a look at the cards. And feel. So, we've gone from the unknown on the medicine wheel, what may be occurring. Now we're going to go into really feeling into those things that have been shed light on. Okay, so energies for this week and how to best navigate them. Structure feels like key. Breaking things down feels like key. Allowing the process of decomposition to occur. There's many things that we want to either get over or move forward from or get on with or whatever, particularly as we feel the energies, the Queen of Swords underneath, particularly as we feel the energies starting to change, that light starting to come in. This morning I was quite disappointed to see a foggy sky. Not surprised, but disappointed, because we're nearly into spring and I want to start seeing the sun, and we can really want that. We can really want that light to come in, that we can almost jump ahead and make things more light than what they actually are, and that's where that artificial light is coming in. So being very, very aware that if a cycle is to occur, the definition of a cycle means change. If a change is to occur, if a season is to change, then we must let go of what needs to be let go of first. There is no jumping ahead. There is no, even with predictions, we can predict something, but what we're doing is we're looking at the potential that can occur from where we're at. Okay, so we then bring it back to the now. So this is the energy this week. What are we going to do about it? And that's that Queen of Swords energy. We cannot rush these things, but we can use whatever is coming into our awareness as an opportunity to instigate any changes we may feel we want to bring forth from now until summer. And that's the beauty of in bulk. Really learning from the earth and knowing that those seeds, half of them are already there anyway, and all we need to do is tend to them and allowing things to break open. That's what happens in spring, yeah? The bulbs, the seeds, they start to break open. This protective energy we may have put ourselves in is starting to crack open, and as that happens we can be a bit raw, a bit vulnerable, feel a little bit in and out of it. But the emphasis here is to feel, what do we need? Basic needs, bringing it back to basic needs always. So at the bottom of the pack we do have the Queen of Swords, and I'm going to start from there. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that one wants to come out from there, but actually that one is overall, so I'm going to put that there. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday overall. Okay, so I'm not surprised again to see the Seven of Wands underneath the pack. We do have that almost defensive like action here, that defensive like energy. But it almost looks, this character is being quite defensive towards the past. Looking at that, looking at why we feel we need to defend the past. Do we need to separate ourselves from the past? Are we using our past to defend us? Is our past actually helping us to move forward here? And that potential is there. I get a lot of people that want to run away from their past, myself included sometimes, right? But subconsciously it's still there until we can turn around like the shadow within us. Not something to fear, but something to celebrate. Turn around and say, I see you. I see you. There's no hiding here. I see you. What is it I now need to see? What is it I now need to take from all of this, that one staff, in order to move forward? There's a big difference between defensiveness and decision making this week. Okay, so I'm not surprised to see that. And underneath it all, we also have the Eight of Cups. Yes, there are times when we know perhaps that we are creating the same thing. And there are times when we know perhaps it is an opportunity to move forward, and that takes mastery, and that takes compassion, and that takes time. You know, that takes the acknowledgement that as we move forward, we are grieving the past also, or that there may be aspects in the past that now are ready to be grieved for. When I look at this card, I can't help but see the footprints behind this character. And what I actually needed to do there was to pause and look at the card, to really pause and look and see what I see. And I see footprints. I see the path that has been walked before me, not only by myself, but by others. And a lot of the times when it comes to moving on, letting go, we forget that it isn't always our emotions and our views and our judgments and our understanding of things that we are letting go as well. Yeah, really feeling into that this week and doing so with pride. So this character has his head down like, I need to move forward, I can't do this anymore. Okay, lifting our head up so that we can actually see the direction in which we're going. You know, I sense quite a bit of guilt here of letting go and being grateful and relieved to let go, but feeling quite guilty for that. But actually, it's part of life. Life is change. Change is the only constant. And in doing so, we're giving permission to ourselves and to each other to do the same thing. And I felt like I really wanted to pause there and drink from my own cup. And yes, self-care is going to be very important this week, but what feels really important is to see the importance of self-care. So we call it limpie, and it's about clearing our physical vessel, okay, ensuring that everything we create comes from within and out as an expression. Now, if we don't self-care, if we don't cleanse this vessel, you know, beautiful clear cup, if we don't cleanse this vessel, we're going to create from whatever is inside of us. So seeing self-care this week as a vital component in order to bring forth any change that we're trying to achieve. Really caring for the body, really clearing out what isn't needed is the whole overall emphasis this week. And getting to that point where we don't have to defend the need for that, but acknowledging common sense. It's common sense, yeah, to go within first, to make sure we have what we need before we deliver what is being asked of us. It's common sense, it's limpia, it's self-care here. It's part of the process, it's part of the grieving process. Okay, so on the Monday, I'm not surprised to see the Lord of Swords. We have the King of Swords here. Of course, we have the Queen of Swords underneath, and now we have the King of Swords. And that came as a reference point almost. Use Monday as a reference point of deciding, actually, I am going to use what is in front of me. I could have continued shuffling the cards, but it felt important with the Queen of Swords underneath to go ahead with what is in front of me. And when I look at this card, I actually see a antler on top of the King of Swords heads, which ties in with today's message, with the daily guidance with the antlers, and really reaching up and acknowledging that it's always been down to what we believe and how we choose to believe things. There's an emphasis here of mindset. There's a choice here to be made in regards to the not only the decisions that we make, obviously, but owning and acknowledging them, becoming the chief, if you will, of our own consequences, that was the word. I was going to say circumstances, but no, consequences here. You know, they're becoming the Lord of Karma. I hear the Lord of Karma type energy, and that's where I get quite warm. I feel quite a bit of fire coming in with that. An opportunity to transmute our own karma by recognizing that we are the Lord, the ladies of our own karma, in how we see karma itself. So Monday, yes, I'm not surprised to see that little bit of trippy energy here. But we can call it trippy, or we can call it an opportunity to take our awareness higher. You know, we can be very, very aware. This morning I was very aware of almost walking the rounds, still being in that lucid dreamlike state as I'm walking my dog. And at first I wanted to fight that. It was very uncomfortable. It didn't feel like it had a place in this world, until I came back into my body and allowed myself to expand my awareness, not only of what I was seeing, but my own self and my own ability. And from there I could see all the different messages. From there I could view all the different potentials. So Monday, and this week in particular, but Monday in particular, yes, things can become trippy, things can become a bit too much mentally, or we can expand our mind. The choice is ours. It can feel like it's too much if we're limiting our mindset here. If we have an open mind on the Monday, that's going to lead to the open heart on the Tuesday, because we have the Ace of Cups. And what I love about this card is you have Hummingbird here. You have Siwa Kenti. And what I really feel, and I feel like I'm clawing at my throat, like this genuine creative expression that's trying to come through for myself to acknowledge who I am and the energies I'm connected to. Because what I feel there with Siwa Kenti, with Hummingbird, yes, it is the beauty of the unknown and feeling into our heart. But actually, if we allow ourselves to feel into the unknown in our heart space, what comes to the surface is what's truly known. And for me, as I looked at this card, this was acknowledging and recognizing my own energy and what I connect to. I really connect to these trippy cards. I would do. A lot of my training is Peruvian shamanism. So, you know, these are a Mayan deck. I would connect to this energy. So on the Tuesday, having had an open mind on the Monday, on the Tuesday, feeling into the open heart that says, wow, this is where I belong, actually. All these energies that I felt uncomfortable with, and it could be leadership. You might find yourself in a meeting full of leaders and all of a sudden think, I feel comfortable here. Once we expand our mind and don't play small with our own mental agility, on the Tuesday our heart opens and we can be quite beautifully surprised in the unknown of what it is that actually feeds us, what it is that's going to help us do this hero's journey. Because Siwa Kenti, Hummingbird, yes, the ancestors, the path before us, but also the hero's journey. You know, hummingbirds do mighty flights every year and they feed literally from the nectar of life, from the beauty of life. So opening our heart, opening our mind really expands the availability of sweetness that is there in the circumstances we may not have considered would be the ones that would take us forward. Okay, on the Wednesday we have 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, the star card. I had to really add that up and see what it was all about, which feels quite poignant. On the Wednesday, adding things up, seeing what is actually occurring. You know, the star card is very much, I'm just looking at her naked form, actually, and that's, for some reason, that's surprising me. The fact that all I can see is pure nakedness and how beautiful it is. Why that's surprising me, I have no idea, because that's part of the ethos behind everything I do. But seeing how that can be what flows and moves us forward towards a greater vision. Adding things up on the Wednesday from a real vulnerable, open, beautiful place, acknowledging the beauty of our body within spirituality and within the greater vision, because it's our emotions that actually help us to move forward, in particular with this star card here. And what you see at the top there is the rainbow serpent, Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, the rainbow serpent that's within our body, the rainbow bridge, the activation of all our energy centers. See how it's almost separate from the body, almost as if it's done its job. And I see like a big Kundalini rising that has actually left us now, a transformation through our body that has left us, that is flying ahead of us as part of the great journey. And all we need to do is feel. And allowing that beautiful, beautiful naked form, our physical form, to direct the way. It reminds me of the temperance card as well, with the chop wood, carry water there. So one of the things I was looking at on the naked form here was the breast. And literally as I was feeding from, drinking from my own cup there, I heard supply and demand. Okay, so the more we feel, even the discomfort, the more, again, I say this all the time, but even the discomfort, the more we allow ourselves to feel, provided we feel safe, comforted, held, our basic needs are met, the more we allow ourselves to feel, the more clarity we're going to get, because the thoughts are incredibly foggy this week, just like the weather outside. They are incredibly weighed down by the emotions. So allowing those emotions to come up, particularly on the Wednesday, is going to clear our sight for a far greater inner vision trying to be born. Okay, on the Thursday we have the King of Cups. There's a lot of court cards here. We have the King of Cups here, and it's almost like a fine line, a balance between allowing our emotions to express what they are on the Thursday, but having some structure to it. So all the beginning of the week, we've felt, we've thought, we've flowed. Come the Thursday, what are we going to do with that? We do have an opportunity to direct these emotions, also energy, emotion, also. Once we are aware of them within our body, it is then up to us to become response able, being very aware of how we're directing those emotions. Rather than, you can see this character here saying, no, my way or the highway, finding that fine line, that more nurturing, sacred, masculine view of creativity on the Thursday is going to be key. On the Friday, we have the High Priestess, and this is an image I actually saw this morning. And I actually saw it in a more foreboding way on the Friday, but having been made aware of it and the message behind it, and really going into the discomfort that I felt, it's all taken on a different view. And come the Friday, that's what we're being faced with. So by allowing ourselves to open our mind, to open our heart, to really flow with the visions that need to be cleared, those that are no longer relevant, those that may have been there as part of a far bigger journey that we didn't even realize. A lot of the times we can long for a soulmate, and what we actually long for is the love of ourselves, the unconditional love of ourselves. So seeing creativity for the more expansive potential that it has, the more universal, otherworldly wisdom that it contains. Come Friday, everything is going to change. The insights that we have about ourselves is going to change. The contracts perhaps that we have come Friday are going to change. And I see house contracts, I see relationship contracts there, I see soul contracts there could potentially change. And that brings me back to Monday being the reference point. Anything that, and I feel as if my milk is coming in there. So yeah, coming back to the Monday being the reference point, anything that comes up on the Monday could lead to potential new soul contracts, to relationship contracts, to house contracts, to karma contracts. When we take responsibility for the consequences of our actions, we create our own karma, literally ourselves. Really acknowledging that on the Monday can really have a beautiful, beautiful unfolding of an illusion or veil between us and the wisdom that has always been there in the underworld, just waiting for us, our shadow, if you will. Bringing that balance between mercy and severity, bringing that union of the polarities that now wants to come together. And I really feel that. I felt that with the Moon Ikea this weekend, but I really feel that with spirituality. I really feel that with the light and the darkness. I really feel like there's another way. There's another way on the Friday, and that can only be made clear if we open our mind, open our heart, allow things to flow, and direct what we can when we're asked to direct it. It's one thing to know what's going on, doesn't mean we always are being asked to do something about it. And that's going to be key on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as we come into the 5, 10, 15, 20 judgment card. Saturday, is that the... No, that's not the new moon, is it? That's the following week. But as we're preparing to enter into the year of the dragon, okay, what we're really being asked to look at is yes, every year has numerical value. So this year is the 8 year, but the 20 behind it, the 2024 is judgment. So for the next, until we go into 21, it's going to all be an undercurrent of judgment. What views, what beliefs do we have on karma, on allowing our heart to guide the way, on being naked and raw and vulnerable, on directing this incredible force, this incredible energy within us? What views do we have on our ability to read what is going on and act accordingly? come the Saturday, we're really going to see what judgments we have behind the very notion of karma itself. Okay, so yeah, Saturday is very much that dragon type energy, that transformative type energy, that belief in something beyond the obvious, and that deeper connection to the earth as a result. The ley lines, the rose line, the bloodline, the emotional line that connects us to the world and everything that is wild and beautiful about it. But then that's my judgment, because I find it wild and beautiful. You may find it petrifying, and that's going to be up to us to discover where we may be holding that back or pushing it or whatever it is we may be doing. Because on the Sunday we have the 10 of Swords. On the Sunday there's a lot of mental baggage being carried here, and you can see that the character at the top actually has the head of death. The 10 is the end. Okay, so again, it's almost like this week being encouraged to go back over the steps that get us to each and every moment. So opening our mind, opening our heart, allowing things to flow as a supply and demand system needs to, because that's what we are. We are supply and demand with the earth. You know, particularly when it comes to manifesting, I personally have a big judgment on continually manifesting for the sake of manifesting, and I'm aware that that can come from a place of lack, but I'm also acutely aware of things that are wasted in this world and supply and demand. And I'm aware that, as with any system, any supply and demand system, if you give more than is needed and then that isn't needed afterwards, what happens to the excess? The excess mind, the excess thoughts, the excess mental connection to what is going on in our body, the dissociation. When things are in excess, the dissociation. So really fine-tuning this week. What do you want? What does your heart long for? Keep it simple. Yes, the energies are expansive. Yes, there's a lot of potential there. Chop wood, carry water. In this moment, what do you actually need? Rather than allowing the mind to go off on a tangent that's going to take us away from what we're feeling and what it is we actually need, bringing it back, saying no, cutting through the crap, and in this moment, what do I actually need? Underneath it all, there's a need to let go of the defenses and to move forward. The defenses with ourselves, the defenses with each other, the defenses with what we thought we wanted or not wanted, and just in bulk is a chance to spring into action. It is a chance to bring forth new things, but emphasis being new things, right? So what do we have? We have one Ace of Pentacles underneath it all. Just as I say about the new beginnings, absolutely new physical beginnings here. So, and I'm being drawn to the image that I saw this morning of my own pie stone, my own Mooneye keystone, and it's jade. And here it's the Ace of Jades, it's jade. And smack bang through the middle of a pie stone, you have a center, and that represents the torus. It represents the hollow bone that we are, and the energy that can come up and through and around us. It's also used for the rites to blow through. However, this morning the guidance with the pie stone image was to look again at what and how we believe. Allowing those energies to come through us, allowing our physical body to be the vessel of change, by really examining any judgments we may have in our ability to do that, any judgments we may have in our position to do that, any karma linked to that, any contracts linked to that, any paths that have been walked before us linked to that. This week is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to really hollow out the bone, to really get to the bottom of it all, not by defending, not by avoiding, but by feeling into it. The physical beginnings, the new beginnings, they're physical, and they come down to us this week. Come down to really going within and feeling what is going on for us. So we have one of them. 1, 2. Take time to separate what is actually going on. Take time to be very aware with what is I don't want to say genuine, well I do want to say genuine message, otherwise I wouldn't have said it. What is a genuine intuitive message, and what is fitting the narrative that may be comfortable for us this week, particularly in regards to coincidences. Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence, or is it common sense? Is there a difference between them this week? Really feeling into that. So we have 3 major arcanas, which is beautiful. So a lot of the creativity is coming from outside, external, very powerful energies. And those energies include the Star, the High Priestess, and Judgment. So it is up to us to go within and see the vision that we are creating as a result of what it is we feel, and really using that emotional wisdom now beyond any judgments we may have upon it. Okay, not getting too caught up in why we feel what we feel, but acknowledging what we feel and acknowledging the impact that that is having around us is going to be key. If we are to break free of any views that have been holding us back and really be called out now, really be called out to what it is we want to bring back to life within our, really scratching there, a real creative, expressive week. However, we also have 3 sword cards and 3 cup cards. And when I say however, much as there's a beautiful balance between our mindset and our emotions, much as we may feel as if we're in alignment, it is really truly about looking at what we are in alignment with, where that alignment is coming from. So for myself this week, there's been a few incidences where I can recognize I'm in alignment with my inner child. And it's my inner child that has been manifesting and navigating the way. And there's no right or wrong there, but awareness most definitely is key. Recognizing that mentally and emotionally you are in alignment, that can be a negative thing and a positive thing. So if you don't know where you're at mentally, you're all stressed mentally, you're overthinking mentally, your emotions are going to be doing the same. Being aware of that. You wanted alignment, we wanted alignment. Acknowledging they are linked. Our thoughts and our emotions are linked, because it's that, we have three with the major arcana, 3 with the minor arcanas, 3 with the swords, and 3 with the cups. Recognizing our emotions are almost a mental translation of what is occurring around us, and vice versa this week. So we have the Ace of Cups opening up our heart, allowing the King of Cups underneath to provide actions that are supportive to the 8 of Cups, whatever it is we are now releasing. Self-care in our actions is pivotal this week, absolutely pivotal this week, particularly in the times when we don't know what to do and we don't know what to think about something and feel about something. We don't know where we are or what is in front of us. The best thing we can do is to hold that unknown, to hold space for that, to allow things to unfold in the sacred masculine that is within us all, that potential that is within us all, so that we can actually release what we do know. We can release what no longer serves us and really start to top up our vessel with some new emotions, some new ways of seeing it. Healing, yes, some healing. Much, much, much needed this week, some emotional healing. Okay, so we then have 3 sword cards, and that's where I start to feel a little bit worn out, like the mindset is trying to keep up, the mindset is trying to keep positive, the mind is trying to keep going, and actually it's like, I just want to switch off, I just want to reboot, and that feels like the key to reboot. We have the Queen and King of Swords here, and they're almost facing each other, and there's almost like a battle. So I felt this and I did this, and I felt this and I thought that, and and I can recognize that they're having a knock-on effect, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere here because we have the 10 of Swords. So if you don't feel as if you're getting anywhere intuitively or with your actions in regard to your mindset, stop. Let it all unfold. Let it all end. If you find yourself going over repetitive messages in your mind, expand, go higher, think of something different. Don't get caught up in almost like a tit for tat between the masculine and the feminine this week, but also a tit for tat between our emotions and our actions. I felt like doing this, but I decided not to. I fought my mind, or I thought I would do this, but emotionally I didn't feel into it. That's not alignment, is it? That's going to cause a real overload mentally. So if you aren't sure, be unsure. Be unsure with it instead of trying to figure it out and force it this week. So what I'm seeing is the 3 centimeters when you're in labor. So there's 3 cards there, and I'm seeing 3 centimeters. And when you normally, the average explanation of being 3 centimeters is that you're going into established labor. And that feels like a real poignant message this week, to recognize that in bulk is spring. It's not summer. It's definitely not harvest time. Okay, it's not autumn. It's not time to start cutting down the crops and reaping what we sow. It's a chance to say, right, things are changing. We're in established labour. We've kind of done the messing around of winter. Spring is coming. Things are going to start to be more evident. Things are going to start to show more, to progress more. It's almost like getting that pattern of, I don't want to get too medically terminology wise, but basically everything is thinned, it's stretched out, it's all ready and ripe to start dilating now, start opening up now. Knowing that can be wonderful, and it can also be quite fearful, because we're going to feel that change, we're going to feel that shift. Still acknowledging where you are. We have one wand card, and it's the Seven of Wands, defending where you are for yourself. Stand by standing in where you are. That's the only real defense that's ever needed, is just to be who and where you are. The actions speak for themselves. So being present for yourself this week is going to be key. Yes, it's a 7. Yes, it's enduring. It is enduring, but it's past the halfway mark. It's not going to feel harmonious because it's not a 6. It's a 7. It's going towards mastery. So really standing firm in that and being present in the position you find yourself in at the moment is going to be pivotal for the changes that are coming through in the Ace of Pentacles. And I love this because we have the Knight of Pentacles underneath, who's holding that change. We're holding the change. We hold on to the potential of that in everything that we do. And underneath that we have 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. From now until the new moon is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to hold space for the changes that want to come through by recognizing where the hell we are first and then taking the next step. Take care, have the most incredible week, and I will see you next week.